Herb has basically described me in the best possible light, but actually what I do is I just spend too much time sitting in bed watching YouTube. So yeah, this is me. I'm a digital culture journalist for Wired, The Economist, Bloomberg, lots of different places. And I've written a book about YouTube because I am just about 30. I turned 30 earlier this month, and it's my goal in life, if I'm going to do one good thing and have my time spent on YouTube come to one positive outcome, it is that I'm going to explain YouTube to the old people. Okay? And it's really important, as we will get onto over the course of this presentation. So yes, Herb very kindly talked about some of my friends and colleagues. I should probably declare these are not SponCon, they're not ads. I did not pay for them. Influencers have problems with that. This guy from Wired is very, very nice. But to tell this story about YouTube and its importance in our society, I need to take you back 14 years now. I need to take you back to 2005. So pop your polo shirt collars up, grease up your hair with spikes and things like that. Start watching The Simple Life in the OC. And this site comes out of nowhere called YouTube.
Elephants. Cool thing about these guys is that they have really, really, really long fronts, and that's cool. And that's pretty much all there is to say.
So, from small acorns, I guess the phrase is, becomes a massive, massive website. So this is an academic paper which gives you an example of the scale of YouTube now. So the number of videos uploaded every single year. 2011, in the middle there is our baseline, 100%. Goes up to 2016. That is the last reliable data that we have. So it's huge, absolutely massive, okay? And it has evolved enormously from this idea of being a democratic media platform that destroys all the boundaries and the hierarchies that you get in traditional television. And people became famous. Its motto was broadcast yourself. But people then started getting money from it. People like Dave and other people that we've heard from in the past at Thinking Digital. And so you had the first sort of adverts coming in and the first ideas that you can sponsor content, okay? So suddenly capitalism ruins everything. So it ruined YouTube in a way as well. And then we have this thing called MCNs, multi-channel networks, which is capitalism's end days, basically. People saying, you know what, I will do a lot of work for you, you give me a load of money, and I'll give you hardly anything in return. And then we have the last few generations of YouTube, okay? So in the last few years, we have seen this site become massive, become bigger than television in many ways, okay? YouTubers now are best thought of not as people messing about in their front rooms or their bedrooms or wherever, but they're thought of as entrepreneurs, okay? Because they build up staff, they have lots and lots of money, and they do incredible things. And the perfect example of how mature YouTube is as a media space is this, okay? Will Smith is a YouTuber now, okay? So the highest ranking, highest earning Hollywood star is now a YouTuber. Good, I'm glad that some people are getting their phones out. That was going to be my moment for where people would take the photo. Okay? And we see that in the way that YouTube presents itself. So every year, YouTube has this thing called Rewind. And here are two versions of Rewind, okay? So this is back in the early 2010s. And you see Double Rainbow, people remember that. Lots of cool memes. We even have some Twilight. That's the Old Spice guy. We've had loads of different things going on here, and yet you're still looking at Will Smith on the right. Okay, that video is the most disliked video in YouTube history. And that is because YouTube has changed. It is no longer this democratic platform. It is a business. It is media. And increasingly, it is society. So where are we now in 2019? Well, YouTube is massive, huge, important, okay? PewDiePie, one of the big names on YouTube, okay, the most subscribed channel until relatively recently has been replaced by a Bollywood film and music studio, which gives you an example of the industrialization of YouTube transforming things. Will Smith is the acceptable public face of this platform because the original stars are too troublesome. They say racist things, basically. Channels that have traditional media presences, so they are on television and they produce movies, they're being sold for millions of dollars. I've reported on those. And creators, these new celebrities, they're the people that your kids love. They sell out stadiums, okay? Manchester Arena in August 2018 sold out for a boxing match between two YouTubers. What is going on, okay? And all this happened in the last 14 years, okay? And so what I want to get across to you is this is a big deal, and you need to pay attention to it. YouTube grew up way faster than the Hollywood studio system, and it has way more impact. 1.9 billion of us access the website every month. Bear in mind, half of the world doesn't have an internet connection, and another 1.5 billion people are based in China, which doesn't really have YouTube, okay? Suddenly, you're looking at almost all of society. This is an example. We were talking earlier, Emma talked about how YouTube is replacing stuff and TV is dying. This is an example of it. This is data demand presented at CHI, which is a HCI conference just last week. YouTube accounts for half of the bandwidth use in British homes by this survey. And so people on YouTube are recognizing that power. This guy is Bastiaan van Intveld, okay? He is a Dutch entrepreneur who has set up a Spanish-language YouTube production company. And I was riding in his swanky BMW down a Madrid highway a couple of years ago, and he said, you know what, Chris, I want to give TV back their audience, because it has replaced it in so many ways. And it's replaced it in large part by actually becoming the media, or more like the media, that it set out to replace, okay? So YouTube has lost all of its all of its sharp edges, and it's become squeaky clean and smoothed edged, okay? We all remember Charlie Bit My Finger. Classic bit of YouTube folklore. People know who the guy on the right is, okay? He is the highest earning YouTuber in the world. He earns more money than anybody else on YouTube. He earned $22.5 million last year. He is 8 years old, okay? It is ridiculous what is happening with this platform. And still, we don't treat it right, okay? Slowly, it is happening. As a journalist working in this space, I have struggled to get out the word that YouTube is a thing. But slowly, people are paying attention now, okay? And the reason why I struggle to get out the word is some of this data, okay? Anybody here who is over 25 probably does not know who KSI is, okay? Anybody under the age of 25 does. I know that because I've surveyed the British public through YouGov, okay? We also have people making massive amounts of money. It's the most desired career for children. Ryan, the guy on the right in the last slide, the 8-year-old, he has a line of his own toys. So not only does he open toys on camera, he now produces them. And there are more creators out there competing for eyeballs than ever, which is why we have this guy, because he realizes this is where the eyeballs are. Okay? Just as an example of that competing for eyeballs thing, okay, 781 hours of original content was uploaded to Netflix in the last 3 months of 2018. 781 hours. Start watching it now. Don't sleep. You know, get yourself up on some Red Bull or something like that. It takes about a month. If you watched all of the YouTube videos back to back that were uploaded in those same 3 months, you'd be watching until the year 8069. So traditional media is slowly waking up to the power of YouTube, okay? Very, very slowly. And YouTube itself is waking up to the power of itself, okay? Yesterday, there was a parliamentary inquiry. The Commons Media, Culture and Sports Committee had a bunch of YouTube executives. My book was mentioned, which was great for me, but also good for society, because we have these massive problems with YouTube, okay? We need more responsibility. We need to talk about the power that YouTube has, because in the last 2 years, this is just potted highlights of the scandals that have hit YouTube. Everything from adverts for washing up powder being advertised against terrorist videos, that's your first adpocalypse in spring of 2017, to just last week, we had a YouTuber arrested and sentenced to 10 years in prison for soliciting indecent images from his fans in the United States. That's a guy called Austin Jones. And so YouTube has woken up to this. They've realized that thanks to a lot of journalists and a lot of people beating the drum about how we need to pay more attention to this site, that they need to do something. Okay? They have created the world's second most visited website. And we haven't really thought about what the impact of that is. So with great power comes great responsibility. This is Susan Wojcicki, YouTube's CEO. She talked last month about how her top priority is responsibility. Okay? They are taking more aggressive action. My question is, why has she not done that before? My question is, why have we not, as a group, asked her to take action before? And responsibility is the key watchword for YouTube. And Jamie talked about how the way we vote and elections is going to change. But actually, our politics as a whole is changing. We have people like this guy, deeply unpleasant man, a guy called Carl Benjamin. I'm sure you've probably heard of him. On YouTube, he's called Sargon of Akkad, and he is essentially the poster boy of the right wing, the alt-right in the UK and worldwide. He's running to be an MEP in the European parliamentary elections. And he might actually win. Okay, it's a weird quirk of the way that the voting system works in European parliamentary elections, but he might win, in large part because he has an unmediated contact with 1 million people. He has 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And he can say whatever he wants. And until recently, he even got paid for saying whatever he wants. YouTube only recently demonetized his channel. Interestingly, after the media started to say, hey, this is a problem. Okay? So what happens if he wins? Who's to blame? So Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, is basically one of the main locuses of what's called the Alternative Influence Network. Okay? The Alternative Influence Network is a term described by a US think tank called Data and Society. And what it is about basically all of the world's detritus, the worst people in the world, the alt-right, okay? They all congregate in this thing, and Carl Benjamin is one of the main people. And the reason why he has become so popular is because we have this thing called red pilling. Okay? It comes from the Matrix. It's a thing that basically self-avowed fascists say has happened to them through the internet. You take the red pill, and you start believing in conspiracy theories, you ascribe to the beliefs of the alt-right. And YouTube does this. YouTube promotes red pilling. Okay? An investigative journalism website called Bellingcat interviewed 75 self-avowed fascists and said, how did you get to your political beliefs? The most commonly cited reason for what they thought was YouTube. Okay? And it comes through this. We have conspiracy theories are rife on YouTube. Okay? We have a distrust of the media in large parts because of YouTube. And it's not just the fringes that are doing this. These are two of the biggest people on YouTube, Logan Paul and Shane Dawson, and they are promoting conspiracy theories, flat earth ideas to their millions of subscribers. And part of the problem is the algorithm, okay? So the algorithm basically just promotes these things without thinking about it. So we have to be very, very wary of this. And the algorithm is not great, okay? People have created this powerful thing, and they don't really know how it works. And so we get things like this, okay? So the Mueller report about Russian interference in the US presidential election. YouTube puts up a big thing saying this is a respected source on Russian interference in the US presidential election. And that source is RT, the state-sponsored Russian media channel, okay? So people kicked off about that. And we need some sort of human intervention here, okay? Because it's going to be getting worse. It's exacerbated by demographics. Herb said if you have kids, they will know about YouTube. And they do. That's where they get their information from. They don't watch newspapers. They don't read the stuff that I write. They don't watch TV. Instead, they go to YouTube. And so they start thinking that all of this stuff is not real. This is a quote from Guillaume Chasleau, who helped program the algorithm in the early 2010s. Okay? And basically, his theory is that YouTube engineers who programmed it think that it's funny that conspiracy theories are promoted. They see it as entertainment, but they don't appreciate that not everybody thinks of it as entertainment. Some people think of it as alternative facts. So that's a real concern. We have a big media problem. And YouTube talks about responsibility. So I surveyed the British public and I said, who is responsible? Most people think YouTube has a big part in it. Lots of people think the uploaders have a big part in it. But what I think is really interesting, and this is why I wrote the book, and this is why I'm really keen to talk to you about this, is the one person that's missing from that, on the right-hand side, who is responsible? No one says us. No one acknowledges that we have a role to play in educating everybody, okay? So if there's one thing that I can say to you about this, one good thing that comes out of these 15 minutes, it is please be more aware of the power of YouTube. Talk to your kids about it. Make them aware of the algorithm and how it works. Talk to them about media literacy, because if we don't, this thing is becoming our society. It's becoming our media, and we need to be more aware about it. If we don't, we could have some very, very big problems, not just election interference, like Jamie said. Anyway, that is my 15 minutes rant at you. Thank you so much for your attention.